Sent to the future from the year 2000 by a glitch due to the Millennium Bug, I am adapting to thrive in the peculiar conditions of the 2020s. Join me in a multimedia extravaganza as we surf the World Wide Web, catch up on 2 decades of video games and mess around with creative tools new and old. I'm Millennium Cyborg, welcome to the new millennium. Alright. As the title and tweet say, I am looking to just smooth out my brain completely with some futuristic racing. Just gonna get into the flow and unload from my mind all the stuff that I've been working on. I've redone my audio. I hope the audio sounds good because periodically, welcome Porach, good to see you. I've got an intermittent issue with, I think, the NVIDIA filtering, where it just sounds really bad. So either it sounds really bad or it sounds better than the last few streams. And I've redone the lighting. I looked at the source code for very old Blender and also investigated Lightwave 5 to figure out exactly how they handle ambient lighting and light fall off and spotlights. And so I redid my lighting algorithms, my shading code based on that. So now I've got spotlights. I previously just put it off. I'd never implemented them. Not terribly noticeable, but the lights now lighting me are spotlights rather than point lights, and I redid the lighting based on a very classical 3-point lighting setup. I think it looks okay. And the performance has been good, so that's all good news. And eventually that'll lead to some hopefully interesting dynamic effects with the lighting. Moving lights around and so on, and as always, I'm quite concerned with being authentic to the era of CG that I'm sort of modeling my my whole aesthetic around, and because I don't have quite the eye for it as an artist, I'm delving deep into the algorithmic side to try and make sure that it's authentic at the code level, and having done my brain in with all that, we are going to play some Ballistic NG. And let me boot that up. So there's a new expansion. Ballistic NG is inspired by various Wipeout games. But they've been doing great work on providing updates and new content for it. There's way more in there that I can even explore or remember, and then you've got a whole bunch of Team Workshop content as well. Yeah, so I've been playing the Messino Island campaign, the new content, and I'm gonna continue with that on stream. Sorry, just a moment. Which one is it? Is it this one? This camera. Here we go. Nasaya, welcome. Good to see you. No, incorrect. Wrong camera. This one. There we go. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Let's get our lighting on. There we go. So another thing I implemented since last stream is now the game lighting comes in with a smooth transition. And now I'm gonna Here we go. So then I switch over to OBS, compositing in the game behind me so that it is smoother. Yeah, this is inspired by Wipeout. Mostly the old Wipeouts, the PS1 Wipeouts. And it's got a bunch of physics models, I think, if you're particularly keen on a particular... What did I just press? That's not the right shoulder button. If you're particularly keen on a particular Wipeout's physics model, I think that is selectable as well. This is a Wipeout game by real Wipeout nerds. And it was originally a fan game that was free, gone through a few different revisions, and it's now a paid title on Steam with Steam Workshop support. Maybe I can design my own ship for it at some point. I don't know how hard it is to mod, but I think it's still Unity, so could be quite straightforward. Yeah, good question. Why would I have a quick turnaround? I guess it's theoretically possible to end up facing the wrong way. This game is a good one for my reflections. Alright, so concentrate a bit. We're at 2/3 health. I think the expansion does add some slightly tweaked game modes as well. Ow, wow, that was sudden. Oh, so I don't lose completely when I... What the... I see. The rating doesn't matter. That's why we can flip around. We're just trying to get to a score in this mode. So we can flip around, shoot someone. Well, that's pretty interesting. So what contributes to the score then? I suppose elimination. So if we're the first to reach 250, we'll be fine. It sort of doesn't matter how many times we explode as long as we take out opponents quickly. Great. Okay. Did I just pick to restart it somehow? Yeah. I should be checking what the event is instead of just picking my default favorite ship and livery. Okay, this is one where if you're not in first place, your health starts draining. So it's a variation of the Wipeout elimination style. in the Wipeout version of this, the every lap or half a lap or so, the person who's in last gets eliminated. Which means you can just stick to second place until right at the end, for instance. Whereas here, the incentive is to stay in first place. I keep saying this, but having an underwater tube as part of the track, that's an indication of a quality futuristic racing game. I think the effect does get stronger the further back you are. Ow. And you can still lose health by hitting the walls as well. This time I'll save my turbo and use it strategically. Oh well, I'm about to die anyway. Yeah, rip. Let's retry that. Also, I'm not sure whether the loss of shield is proportional to position or distance. Yeah, I'm already losing quite a lot. I've been in last place for not very long. Yeah, new strategy, use the turbo as soon as I have it. Despite all the exploding, I do find this style of racing game very soothing. Get into a proper flow state. Yeah, you can actually tweak a lot of options as well. You can tweak how, you know, how low resolution and how low poly you want it to be. In quite a few ways. So you can turn on or off motion blur, all kinds of effects. And then separately from that, you've got the retro, integer vertex, whatever, affine mapping if you want the bad texture mapping, color dithering, limited draw distance, CRT settings. I turned them off mostly, but we can try. What's this one look like? Does it take effect? It might not take effect until, yeah. Oh, I didn't do save, that's why. Oh wow, that is quite a CRT effect. I can see that. Oh, interesting. So the menus aren't affected, but the game is it's got like keeps moving, so it's hard to quite focus on it. But you can see, yeah, you can see the pixel mask. Dither this? I don't. Would you even see the dither? The dither must be applying to. Let's turn it all on. Let's just see. No, I'll keep the draw distance off though. And this is on medium. You can crank the settings so far that it looks worse than an actual PS1. This is what you want. Also available. I find this a bit too fuzzy for my tastes. Yeah, it's got the wonky, the vertices being, you know, I think it's the vertices are at integer positions. Somehow I'm playing better now with this filter on. It's definitely not just me getting used to the track. Oh, interesting. I didn't get a turbo. So maybe you don't get a turbo if you're in first place. And that's how it sort of evens it out. This is too much for me right now. Let's go back to what it was like before. Yeah. Or better with less detail somehow. Ow, 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 ow. Maybe being very strategic, one could drop to just barely second place before the end of the lap to get the turbo. This could last a while, couldn't it? Ow, okay. I'm taking a lot of damage, actually. I'm in trouble. By this, yeah. Try a different one for a bit.
Welcome to Irma Boomers. 3, 2, 1, go!
This ship looks very cool. Ow. Yeah, it's got a sort of ocean sort of creature look to it. Okay, not too bad. I've just realised that I'm playing this on the expert difficulty. Hang on. When did I toggle that? I'm not flexing. I wouldn't pick it. Definitely not an expert at these games. I just enjoy them. I rarely manage to complete any of the games. So I'm going back to this event, and now I may be in a better position, having made sure I'm in normal difficulty. Yeah, look at that. Why coasting? Mostly. Also, it didn't seem to change It didn't seem to independently record which courses I'd completed, which medals I'd got on each difficulty. So on some tracks you can also sacrifice your shield to boost. That's not the case here, I don't think. Yeah. But it was on the time trial, for instance. Trying to remember what I did today, and actually part of the answer is I spent hours watching videos about and reading about stage and TV lighting, but a lot of it went over my head. That's not a pun. The lights do go mostly over your head, but that's not the pun. Yeah, so I mean, it's very cool to read about lighting real studios and sets. And some of that definitely translates to virtual environments. Oh yeah, more coloured lighting in my future. Alright. I'm gonna skip this one. I always feel like these ones, although I like them, they're a bit too boring for the stream because it's like a VR, you know, environment with a little texture and you're just doing loops. Indica Trance, welcome, good to see you. So I'm gonna skip ahead to this one. We're going to see the same tracks a lot, obviously, because we're doing just the events from the expansion. But I do like these tracks. I think I saw there's a new track unlocked a bit further down the campaign. After having done the previous challenges on this track, I'm not quite familiar with it, which feels nice. And there we go.
Gold medal awarded.
Okay, Friar Falls introduction. So we can let's try this one with a new track. So I seem to have quite a few different races available unlocked already. Maybe they're all unlocked in the expansion. In the main campaign, you have to progress to unlock them. This is nice. These tracks remind me of some of my favorite tracks from Whee! Actually, this one reminds me a bit of a track from is it one of the tracks from Wipeout 1? The fourth track, maybe? I don't know. But also it reminds me of, this expansion has tracks reminding me of Wipeout Pure. There's actually a VR mode available as well for this, and there are a number of VR exclusive futuristic racing games. I've decided to exclude them because, well, to exclude them from my Futuristic Racing Friday ranking, which we'll have to get back to at some point. I just got a whole to-do list of things I'm redoing, including that particular stream setup. But we will return to it at some point. I feel like, just like I'm not picking any top-down racing games, I'm also not picking any VR racing games. Yeah, I could get a vertigo, and also I don't know, VR is such an amount of effort to get into. It's not what I would boot up for a chill time. I think the track wasn't morphing, it was just very wobbly. Oh, we get 3 new tracks actually. Alto Overseer. I'm going to alternate the new tracks and the previous events.
3, 2, 1, go!
More tunnels. Well,
Autopilot engaged.
this is a very winding track. One feature that's in some of the Wipeout games, which I wish I could do in this, is when you sacrifice an item in, I think, the games after Pure, you get a bit of health back. What's this? What did I pick up? Oh, yeah, the wall. Ow. too focused on aiming my plasma and not enough on steering. The AI will sometimes just decide to pit right before the finish line on the final lap, which is funny unless you have the autopilot engaged and it decides to do that for you. The shockwave effect, right, the Quake weapon, yeah. It's a fun one. I think that this expansion didn't come with new tracks for the soundtrack. I hope some of the future expansions do, because I really like this game's soundtrack. And it's usually stream safe as well. Oh, this is... yeah, this is just like a track from Fusion or Pure as well. At least some parts of it really remind me those games. Captain Steelpants, welcome. Good to see you. We're just having a chill stream. Futuristic racing. Yeah, I've played not every single release of every Wipeout game, but at least one release of every Wipeout game. Although some of them, like Wipeout Fusion, I just don't like that game. I don't know what it is, but it feels wrong. I'd like to see what's further on in the game at some point. You know, for completeness. But that one in particular, I did not get along with. I think it's because in the early races my experience was just, oh yeah, I remember now. So you start with a very, for a start, unlike other Wipeout games, well, you start with a very, very limited selection of ships, right? There's like maybe even just one ship and 2 pilots or something. And get there's just so much chaos in the early races of everyone shooting at you while you're trying to get to grips with the feel of the ship. Maybe if I stuck with it, I'd make more progress. But when I feel like some Wipeout, you know, I could be picking up Wipeout 3 or 2 or the PSP ones, which I really like, or the Omega Collection on PS4, which is just a beautiful remaster of a whole bunch of tracks from previous games.
Event complete.
Captain Silpants, I don't remember if I've had a chance to show you my whole setup, because you've shown off on stream your very fancy Unreal setups. I'm going to quickly cycle through everything. I don't have as much, no fancy dancing or anything, but I'm quite happy with the camera movements I've got at least. So this is what it looks like for the intro screen sort of views. Different angles there. And then I transition into a wide angle. I've got my hand tracking and everything. One detail I'm quite happy with is how exactly I do the motion blur. So I'm running the stream at 30 frames a second, but I'm ticking the game world at 90 and rendering 2 out of 3 frames, and then motion blurring those together. Yeah, my studio is a currently not operational UFO. And then what else we got? I haven't tried the sofa view since let's move over there. Since I redid the lighting stuff. There we go. So if I want a slightly different view to present from, I've got a different screen here. And then I've also got different sky settings, a dynamic sky and sun lighting and moon lighting. Go back to the desk. Yeah, so I think the motion blurs really help with the smoothness of the camera motion, and then I have a bit of logic based on the because authoring every individual camera movement is just way too much effort, you know, and I like having lots of different camera views. I've got a bit of logic based on the distance traveled and the amount of rotation. It chooses a number of different types of transition. So for instance, for these ones, it just it does a short interpolation with a certain kind of easing because the camera angle doesn't change. And for the rotations, it does something slightly different. And then it does the change of a zoom, a focal length at the end of the movement. And it's all kind of made up, right? I didn't find somewhere saying, oh, this is how it works with the real camera and so on. It's just me making things up. Yeah, you can see the rest of the studio here. I'm not doing much with it yet, but I've got a bit of setup going on. And then at the bridge, I can also place myself. Too many buttons. Here we go. And then blue sky again. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Captain Steelpants in his setup has a bunch of NPCs who are dancers, who are technicians in the space, and I think that's very cool. It makes it feel very alive, you know, compared to a more just static environment. But I've not really thought about what I want in this space. I just know I wanted to feel like a TV studio. So I'm just waiting for inspiration to hit. In the meantime, I've got all sorts of other things I'm working on as well. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back into the game. Let's see if I can teleport myself like off camera while I'm doing transitions. Nope. Nope. I need to put the buttons closer to each other and not in different tabs. There I am. Yeah, my pleasure. It's half the fun is showing it all off, right? Yeah, I usually map individual commands onto my Stream Deck, and then the macros break easily, right? Because if any of the steps in the macro are changed, then a lot of things break. I need to think more about how to refactor it. Select a different livery at least. Yeah, I quite want to see some of these other ones that are locked at the moment. I need to complete some of the DLC campaigns. I do really like the platinum one. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my favorite for now. Is my audio still sounding okay, by the way? I've been having intermittent issues where the audio suddenly starts sounding very like muffled or tinny, and the stereo separation is all weird on my microphone specifically. Okay, that's good, thanks. Your superior headphones.
Awarded.
I'm glad you don't hear any issues. Ideally, I'd like the mic audio to also sound like what you'd hear in a TV studio, but I don't know enough about audio to know how to replicate that exactly, short of actually recording in a real TV studio with a expensive lapel mic. I don't at all have a trained ear for audio. I actually did have a lapel mic that I used like a year ago for a couple of streams at most, for doing some Stepmania, you know, full body tracked, not very well, but by a webcam. And I tried pulling it out again and it's completely died. It was just a cheap Bluetooth device. Not too surprising it didn't last, but still I'd hardly used it.
Final lap.
Welcome, Not Dan. Good to see you. Bobdino, good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, this game is Ballistic NG. It's a long in development from a series of indie like recreations of the Wipeout engine and physics, to a free title with original content to a paid title with multiple expansions, and it's got all sorts of options, so whichever Wipeout is your favorite, especially the older ones, there's something for everyone. It's one of my favorite futuristic racing games at the moment, and there's a lot of content. Bronze will do for now. This isn't a futuristic racing Friday stream because it's not Friday, but we will return to those in due course as well. I'm still spending a lot of time on engine and model improvement and so on, which means, you know, given limited human time, other aspects of we're doing this again, other aspects of stream setup I've not had time to get back to. However, I am going to be doing an episode of Edutained, Are You Not Edutained, with Nullcasting on Wednesday. on the Cable 2 channel. I'll post about it on Twitter later on. Remember, that should be fun. It'll be my first episode with a guest on running in this whole new setup, like new lighting, new motion interpolation, and so on. This game, yes, I have reviewed on a Futuristic Racing Friday. It did pretty well. I don't know. I sometimes go back and forth about whether to play some of these games much before I stream them for the official ranking. But you know, since it's an unscientific process to begin with, it doesn't matter too much. One thing I want to get to probably soon is the whole Roll Cage series of games, and then the spiritual successor, Grip. And that's definitely one where I need to spend a bit of time playing them to get used to them. But yeah, F-Zero and Star Wars Racer I am also a fan of. The N64 F-Zero is my favourite. And then Star Wars Episode 1 Racer I also need to stream officially and rank, but I want to include all of the Star Wars racing games. Well, probably not Bombad Racing, but the N64 and PC versions, for instance, are quite different in terms of controls, so good to do both of those. So my favourite futuristic racing game of all time is Extreme G for N64. Something about the atmosphere of that game, the feeling of it, despite it not having the greatest graphics in theory or being the most popular of this style of game. And unfortunately, a lot of the sequels aren't great, and then hasn't had any sequel in quite a while, but original Extreme G, I'd love to see someone remake that. Death Track for DOS. Do I have that in my big list of games? Let's see. Does this count? This is a very old game. First person 3D. I've been going back and forth about whether I should include first person only games. At the beginning I was only including ones where at least there was the option of third person, but I might expand to first person. It would be fun to go back to some of the really old games in the genre. So they've now got reversed versions of the tracks as well. There's actually quite a long campaign. Yeah, Should I switch up? Something else for a bit, actually. I'd try the main campaign. We give another game a go. Depending what I feel like. Try some of these. You can complete more of the main campaign.
Welcome to Omega Harbor.
Oh, it's one of these. Okay, well, like I said before, although I enjoy these, I worry that they're not great stream material because they're quite long and the track is a very much simplified textured version. So for now I might just do the bare minimum to complete it rather than try and do as many laps as I can. So these are existing tracks but with a more neon texture, and they get faster and faster as you make laps, and the idea is to just survive for as long as you can, and as you get faster the amount of damage you take for colliding with the world increases. And all of the speed classes have different names, which is something from Wipeout as well, where the different speed classes are called things like, I don't even remember right now, Raptor and so on. Venom, and other things. Yeah, so this is like a VR mission. Training run. So these exist in Wipeout as well from, I want to say from Wipeout Pulse on PSP maybe. I think Wipeout Pulse also introduced the modern challenge grid to Wipeout. I'm too zoned out playing this track. still not even on silver. I said I would stop after bronze, but I got 2 engrossed. I feel up almost at silver. Might as well keep going a bit longer. Ow. You have to adjust as it gets faster. Gotta take corners differently. Okay, we've done it. Thing is, I can actually do pretty well. I can usually get platinum on these if I'm concentrating properly. We'll come back to this off stream. But for now, that's good enough.
Silver medal awarded.
It is a bit pinball.
Utah project.
Bouncing around uncontrollably.
3, 2, 1, go!
Huh. Interesting. I lost thrust for a moment there, I'm not sure why. I think I've actually booted up some race or other on this track quite a few times as a stream test. Or recording test. Feels quite familiar.
Perfect lap. Final lap.
Yeah, my 2-year anniversary is not that far away now. It's gonna be in April. Previously I was kind of on a pace of doing a big revamp every 6 months, but I missed the last deadline for that. I was too deep in the shader and engine changes, and I'm sort of halfway with my changes to my model. I'm working towards having all of it be original meshes at least, even if they're inspired by the Vroid base mesh. Yeah, time really flies. I did of course end up taking a couple of breaks at various points. Actually, both times I took a break, it was because I was so deep in the rendering tech that I didn't end up streaming. So that's the lesson. It's like trying to make your own rendering pipeline on top of your own model and app. For VTubing, too much work. Too much work. Satisfying, but too much for one person. Ow, ow. Well, that's not going to help my time.
Final lap.
I think I'm actually pretty close to done on the rendering side of things, or at least with the features that that I've thought of so far. There's some things that could do with tidying, but I don't think I need to touch my rendering pipeline. I want to add particle effects. And like, you know, I've got all this water in the environment, but there's no... And I've worked on the light model underwater and above water, so you can see the, you know, the UFO sticking out of the water surface. But it's all static. If I want to have things moving in the water, I need to add some water splash particle effects, either by using Unity's particle effect system or creating my own. And I did briefly look at Unity's particle effects, and for some reason it wasn't working with my rendering pipeline. I'm not sure why. Didn't spend a lot of time on that though.
Perfect lap.
But at least, fingers crossed, I wouldn't have to spend much time messing with the shaders themselves if I do particle effects. And after that, I've got, yeah, plans for improvements to my model and new outfits and then new environments. Just actually adding more things to the scene. It's going to be many hours in Blender. Yeah, this music, I really like the soundtrack of the game. I also listen to it when I'm not playing. Well, that took me several tries, so I'll take the bronze. Yeah, I listen to this soundtrack a lot, actually. Interesting. Target 20, we're in this mode. Why do people keep exploding? Oh. Did I have a weapon I could fire? I should pay attention to what the description is of the modes. I just dive into them. What the? Okay, I see. Well, I see something. Okay, so there are collectibles on the track. And then I've got a meter that fills up, and when I press X... Okay. I am going to have to read the description. Competitive survival. Hit speed pads to begin building potential zones. No, potential zones. Press use weapon to increase your zone or drop weapon to replenish your shield energy and activate a shield. Okay. Increasing your zone drops an energy barrier. Okay, the barriers, I shouldn't be collecting them. They deal damage. Ships respawn after elimination but lose zones. A maximum of 10 can be reached.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay. So I do this and it's like... No, that wasn't it. That was it. So that was +1 zone and... I dropped effectively a mine. No, I'm not building up. I build up when I'm on the pads. Okay. Oh, and I can save up multiple. Interesting. So here I used it to build up shield instead, but that sacrifices time. Well... okay, so I'm at 10. There are probably some things I could be doing strategically speaking. I've not really thought about the strategy. Because in particular, you don't have to be in first place. Okay, so I've lost some zones because I exploded, but I'm still in the running. It's warning me about upcoming barriers. Gotta hit the speed pads. If I don't, I'm just not building up anything.
Session complete. Bronze medal awarded.
Okay, interesting. Upsurge. And now something a lot more traditional.
Utah project.
Just a little time trial. I quite enjoy a simple time trial against my own ghost. And curse your past self when they overtake you, even though, you know. It just means I'm not doing as good a job this time. Oh. Oops. There are four laps in this one. Well, let's just not hit the sides. All we have to do is a perfect lap. Ow. 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 Oh, come on. Let's try that again. I wasn't even trying to get to the pit. Another feature it'd be fun to have is to have some kind of mapping of my controller input to my model with a little bit of, you know, inverse kinematics and so on, but that would only work when I'm playing on PC and not on console. I've thought about it. Another thing I want to spend more time on eventually is just more animation. I think that with my engine the way it is now, with the lighting and the motion blur that are, you know, as authentic as I can get, I think I could do some animation that would look pretty good beyond that just the changes in the sky and the camera movements and my own avatar animation. Could be impressive environmental set pieces or just little skits involving other characters, I don't know, but I'd like to explore that at some point.
Bronze medal awarded.
Some fresh farmers market donuts, that sounds great. I don't blame you. Alright, what's this then? A proper tournament? Is it? Yeah. Let's do it. I might not make it to the end. I didn't do that great on all of the previous tracks. Oh, this one's very wobbly. I'll get used to the turns eventually, but it was still warm. That sounds perfect. This is a really frantic track. Like we're all really grouped close together and it's
Final lap.
twisting and turning quite a lot. Yeah, it's hard to pay attention to everything you need to pay attention to. That was not a good start. I think for a tournament. Well, actually, I think I've got enough points now that I've unlocked. Okay, we've got 2 different sets. So we've got Reflex and Ascension. Oh, that's a bunch of reversed tracks. Let's try these. Advanced ship selector. Oh, right. Oh, no, hang on. Okay, you know what I want to try? There's a new... in the latest update, they introduced something new, which are small ships. These ones. Can we just pick them? As in, like on the same progression, we just pick a small one instead? We've got 10 out of 10 acceleration. So my favorite, the Wyvern. 3 acceleration, 7 speed, 6 handling. So it's got good top speed and handling. The acceleration doesn't have to be that good. So I've got unlocked. I've only got 2 to pick from actually. And there's one with top speed 2 and one top speed 3. Okay, well, let's try this one. And then color schemes. Orbitronics I quite like. Also like the Tenrai and Protonic. Let's go with the Tenrai. Okay, so what does this do? What is this going to look like? I'm on a small... John, this isn't what I expected. I'm on a tiny little, like, kart racer looking thing. And all of the others are in full-size ships. I feel I'm in danger. Like, I barely have a helmet. And I think I can't pick up weapons. I can't pick up weapons either. This is terrible. I don't think my stats are up to it either. I'm not sure, but... like, my top speed is not very high, so... yeah, I'm not gonna do well here. But so I thought I read in their release notes that there was like a proper campaign for the small ships. Oh, you can steer when autopilot is engaged, directed on different routes. Now that's very interesting. Create custom campaigns. Okay, let's go back to a standard ship. We've almost unlocked something. So we rank up in the main campaign. Is this a night version of an existing track or something new? Oh yeah, it's the one I was racing on a futuristic part. It's just that the drops also made me think maybe it's a night version of one of the previous tracks I've seen, but I don't think it is. Ultrasonic cart. I'm just getting bronze medals now. Oh, we got rank 8. We unlocked Neon livery. Okay. That might not be... see what it looks like. You know what? I'm kind of into it. Sure. I like the look of this track as well. The tracks that are set in nature with lots of trees like this. I guess you could say the solar punk tracks. They're some of my favourite in futuristic racing games in general. In terms of atmosphere. Well, imagine, you know, someone's job is to trim all those trees and make sure that there's no stray branches falling onto the track to collide with everyone at whatever actual speed we're going at. It says like 300 something, 500 something on the meter, but I don't know what units that's even in. There is a blue shell, the hunter. Blue shell equivalent. Yeah, protect the rainforest by adding a racetrack.
Welcome to Arrive on 11.
Somehow the Messino expansion is, at least on the normal difficulty, noticeably easier than some bits of the campaign. Like at this point, this is notably harder. But still all feels quite doable. Ow. Not very familiar with the tracks at the moment, but with a bit of practice I feel like I can actually complete these campaigns, which is nice. Right, it's only 2 laps. Wooden tracks. That does look like they're made of wood, actually. Yeah. Must be some impressive coatings on top of that wood to make it withstand whatever's in the particle trails of these machines. That's 1 lap.
Final lap.
We're in 5th place, but we're not like far behind the next few. To gain a few. Oh, I can burn my shield for a boost. I should do that more.
Event complete. Gold medal awarded.
Perfect. Okay, somehow that last second boost got us there. Yeah. Totally planned it that way. Okay, just a standard race. Advertisement. Tomorrow we'll be late.
Perfect lap. Final lap.
Yeah, there are very few things I would change about this game. My only minor nitpicks are I'd love to be able to sacrifice a weapon for shield. And I'd love for them to have a music track for each track,
Gold medal awarded.
rather than just I mean, an excellent soundtrack that is unrelated to the current track. I think they do have some soundtrack tracks that are per expansion, but And make the go-kart not suck. I think the go-kart is recently added, and there's got to be something more to it than just. I think there's a mode somewhere that lets you have everyone on go-kart, so it makes more sense. Let's do this one.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, okay, so it's giving us. Yep, I'm not too familiar with. Gotta be a time trial. That wood is not. A lot of these wood panels are going to be replaced. I'm just scraping my way along all of these. Ow, 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 ow. I'll get the hang of this ship in not too long, I think. But this probably will not be the run. Yeah, I think you can do online multiplayer, so there might well be demands to nerf the go-kart. Yeah, there are reflections of the engine trail, and now I'm looking at the engine trail instead of
Final lap.
track. The interesting thing is the reflections seem to be in, and the shadows. Are in the texture space of the track. Like you can see that it's pixelated.
Event complete.
No medal awarded. Not too surprising. Let's try that one more time.
Welcome. 3, 2, 1, go!
There's my ghost. My worst rival. Past me and future me are my greatest enemies. I was just not even beginning to say, just beginning to think, oh, I'm doing a lot better this time. And that immediately made me start hitting the walls again. No, doing way better, doing way better. All laps, so I don't want to burn too much shield. Just a little bit does help. That felt like I was quite lucky taking those corners.
Final lap.
Just need to not mess up this final lap.
Event complete. Bronze medal awarded.
Only bronze? Oh well. You know, better than nothing. Okay, so... Oh, we've unlocked Descension. Some more reverse races. Ah. Ah. Maybe this is it. Okay, okay, let's give it a go. This is the campaign with the go-kart. I'll give it a quick go. We've already been going for almost 2 hours.
3, 2, 1, go!
Whee! We're much closer. The camera is like closer in, closer to the ground. Oh, okay. We've got different booster pads as well. The green ones make you give you an F-Zero style boost, and the teal ones, like not that differentiated in terms of color. The teal ones give you more of a wipeout style boost.
Event complete.
Yeah, it is. It does remind me of Forsaken. Some of the characters' vehicles.
Welcome to Brighton for 30th.
Yeah, this grass is particularly cheap to render. Not using much GPU memory either. So I wonder whether these physics and concept of this are also based on some existing futuristic racing game that I haven't tried or can't bring to mind right now.
Final lap.
Ow, ow. That was cutting it too close.
Event complete.
Yeah? These look fun. I think we've got trying to just try these 4 introductory tracks. Mario Kart 10,000cc. Ooh, interesting. You know, I've not even tried much recent Mario Kart. Maybe this is what the latest was. Maybe this is what Mario Kart 8 feels like. I wouldn't know.
Final lap.
Well, somehow this one's a piece of cake so far.
Event
Yep.
gold medal awarded.
Alice Mountain.
Welcome to Alice Mountain.
Moss nicely.
3, 2, 1, go!
I love these mountains. Like, very pixelated mountains. Oh, this is fun. I realized I'm a very, like, the atmosphere of a game is a huge part of my enjoyment of it. I might think fondly of games with an atmosphere I enjoy, even if I never finish them, and objectively they're not that much fun to play.
Final lap.
This game has some very good atmosphere between the music and the different environments for the track.
Event complete. Gold medal.
Nice. Aftermath. I did a few of these tracks. Messina Island. Done a bit of Neon Nights. Haven't done Outer Reaches. Interesting. So to unlock some of the color schemes, I think you need to get 50% of the available medals on any given campaign. If I actually stick with one of them, I'd unlock more. Very Alpine. Yeah, it's nice to have something that's not just your standard cyberpunk future or what have you, but something that brings in some extra elements. All right, back to the studio. Too close. And then I need to actually quit the game cleanly, otherwise I might lose progress. I did find that out during testing. There we are, and bring back a bit of background music. All right. All right. Let's see if I can send you anywhere. People are... How about I send you to see Mortvert? I have not raided Mortvert before. He's playing Hard Space Shipbreaker. Actually, what I should do is check, is he about to end stream? Because that does happen sometimes. It still seems to be going, so that's all good. His channel is intended for mature audiences. True for most people I raid, I think. With that said, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you, like me, have caught the Millennium Bug, make sure to watch the next stream or click on the or find me elsewhere on the World Wide Web by clicking on the links below the video. I've been Millennium Cyborg. Keep that future vibe, and I'll see you in the world of tomorrow.